guys, thanks for joining us on another installment of Verse Chorus Noise. On this installment, we're going to have a conversation with legendary A&R man and author Jeff Blue. We're going to chat about Linkin Park's debut, Hybrid Theory. Please give us a like and subscribe if you're enjoying the show. Enjoy. It starts with Mike Galaxy here with Verse Chorus Noise. On this installment, we take a spin with California nu metal band Linkin Park and their hugely successful debut, Hybrid Theory. The album was released October 24th, 2000, on Warner Brothers Records, recorded at NRG Studios in North Hollywood and produced by Don Gilmore, known for his work with Good Charlotte, Eve 6, and Lit. The album was mixed by Andy Wallace, known for his 1986 breakout success of the Run DMC Aerosmith collaboration on Walk This Way. Andy Wallace has also worked on albums by Nirvana, Slayer, Sonic Youth, Rage Against the Machine, and many more. Hybrid Theory peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200 charts, largely in part due to their breakout hit singles One Step Closer, In the End, Crawling, and Paper Cut. The album was certified 12 times platinum in the U.S. and has gone on to sell over 27 million copies worldwide, and is the biggest-selling debut album of the 21st century. The album went on to win Best Hard Rock Performance at the 2002 Grammys. Linkin Park was discovered and developed by multi-platinum record producer, A&R executive, and author Jeff Blue. I recently caught up with my old friend Jeff.
Good to be here, Mike. Yeah, I grew up in Los Angeles, was going to be an orthopedic surgeon, went to UCLA, discovered I didn't like blood, and went into kind of acting at UCLA and worked for Harvey Levin. I had some TV commercials that were airing in the newsroom when Harvey was at KCBS TV as the legal reporter, and he said I should definitely go to law school, and that's what I did, and hated it. Had long hair and earring, and was in a rock band, and voted most likely not to succeed in law school. And so right out of law school, I passed the bar, started a music magazine, and eventually got a job working in entertainment law for about 3 weeks for a guy named Ross Schwartz, and I handled Hans Zimmer, John Debney, the composers, Beach Boys, and Richard Marx contracts in that very, very short amount of time, and then immediately got a job working for Zomba Music Publishing, where I signed my first band, which was my own band, and they were called Speaker. I don't know if you remember a band called Meet Nixon, but I was the drummer in the band. And, once I took the job at Zomba, I was able to sign unsigned artists. And so I signed them and got them a deal at Capricorn, which was home of 311. And from there, then I signed a band called Fat from England and got them a deal on A&M. And then after that, I signed Macy Gray, Linkin Park, Korn, Limp Bizkit, all in about a period of a year and a half.
What do I do to ignore them behind me? Do I follow my instincts blind?
So, Mike, how I discovered Linkin Park was I was teaching at UCLA, artist development in the music business and songwriting. And I was also guest lecturing for the communications department, which was my major when I was at UCLA. And I was hoping to find an intern to replace this other woman I had, who was my intern named Ariana. I played Macy Gray, and none of the kids really liked it in the class, except for this one kid who raised his hand and was like, yeah, she's interesting. And, I told him I was looking for an intern and really didn't make an appointment with the guy. But the next morning I came in from a party. It was like 10 a.m. and there was a kid sitting in my office chair, swiveling around. And I was kind of dumbfounded, and he was like, yeah, my name's Brad. I was in your class yesterday, and he said you're looking for an intern. And I'm like, well, get the hell out of my chair. And he proceeded just to tell me that he was going to have a band that was bigger than all the plaques on my walls, which at the time were Korn, Limp Bizkit, and Matchbox 20. And I liked him. I liked his confidence, so I hired him as my intern. And then within a few weeks, he threw a demo tape on my desk, and we listened to it, and I thought it was good. Needed a lot of work, but I ended up going to see his band's first show, and there was something about him. I just liked the kid a lot. The band was okay. There was something there. I liked the rapper. There was just something there, but there was also something missing. And I figured I had just signed Macy Gray to a development deal, and I wanted to do something for this kid, Brad, because, his name was Brad Delson. He ended up becoming, or he was the guitar player in the band, and the band was called Zero at the time. And Yeah, there was something about him. There was just that star quality that, I felt there's an authenticity about him. He was really intelligent. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do a development co-publishing deal with you guys. And we did that. And we went on to develop the band and try to showcase them numerous times. At one point I came to you and we did some, showcases. The band didn't really have that big of a turnout. And the labels didn't really seem to dig it. It was mainly the band's friends dancing around, and I was just like, God, this was a disaster. And that's how every showcase was. But you were one of the only guys who really consistently would showcase them. But despite all that, and my belief and your belief, no record labels were interested. We played your shows. We did a ton of showcases. We must showcase at least 30 times for record labels. And the vocalist's name was Mark Wakefield. Really nice guy. But there was always something missing. We were always super nervous about, was he going to be in key? Was the show going to go well? And, that's never a really good situation. I had every record label in the world come out to see them, and everybody passed. And then at one point, because of, I ended up getting Macy Gray a huge deal. So I did a development deal with Macy Gray, a publishing deal. So that's the same deal I did with Linkin. Well, the band was called Zero at the time. So we shot Zero to everybody. Nobody was biting. There was no money to be made. And the band really wanted a record deal. So they, Geffen Records at the time, home to Guns N' Roses, Whitesnake, Aerosmith, just incredible stuff. The heads of the label were really impressed with Macy Gray and what I did with Macy Gray. And I got Macy a deal at Epic. And showcased her and did the whole development thing. And they said they were looking for an A&R person, and they loved what I did and, my passion for music and my intuition. And they offered me a job. And I said, one of the conditions was I want to bring this band Zero. And, they wanted to sign me first, but they said, if that could be my first development deal, that was fine. So it came me, and there's a guy named Danny Hayes, who's this great attorney, and my buddy. And we tried to tell the band, hey, this is great news. And the band was like, no, we want to go do a big show. And, they were very, very confident that they would get a real record deal rather than just a development deal at Geffen. And mind you, the Geffen deal could have not been a development deal. It could have been a regular record deal, but at least I was going to be able to bring them in. Well, needless to say, that showcase went terribly bad. I guess would be the word horrible. Disastrous. The entire room cleared out. Maybe you probably cleared out too. It was an embarrassment if we were still there. It didn't look good. So literally, I would say 99% of the room cleared out, other than family, and most of the friends cleared out too. So after that show, a guy named Scott Harrington, who was Danny's partner at the law firm, Danny and I, we just was like, that this is disastrous. The Geffen Records situation was gone. Those two guys they left Geffen, so I didn't even have a record, an A&R job. And we just said, look, we got to talk to the band and we need to make a change with the vocalist. And it was a very difficult decision. I had explained to this guy, Mark, hey, we need to find a new singer because we've been past that. We're officially mud. We have, nobody wants to hear about us again. And then so we were faced with a daunting task of actually finding a new lead singer. So at this point, it was, Mike was the producer / songwriter, and Brad, the guitar player, they were the primary writers. And we just decided we needed a new vocalist. And obviously finding the vocalist is the most important part in a band because that's, primarily the face. Even though Mike was the rapper and songwriter, we still needed that person to sing those melodies and have that powerful hook, because that's what made Linkin Park, well, Zero at the time, very different, in my opinion, was that they had two frontmen. And the transitions had to be flawless. They had to really, really bring out the best in the music and both artists. So, yeah, it was extremely difficult. We went through tons and tons of vocalists. Nobody was good. Nobody wanted, really, to be honest with you, even audition for the band, because everybody had heard about how bad the band was and that whiskey showcase. So that was disastrous. And the way I ended up finding Chester was at South by Southwest. I was sitting down for drinks with this guy, Scott Harrington, and we were all rapping, and he was just like, God, nobody would let me forget how bad that showcase was, even 3 months later. This was March of 1999. And he goes, you know what? I may have this guy. He's from, Arizona. I doubt he'd be interested because he's like, he's leaving his band, and he's incredible, but he wouldn't want to be like, second fiddle. And I'm like, no, we need a lead singer. And so after many, many drinks, we went up, and I convinced him to get Chester on the phone. And Chester was at I believe it was his 23rd birthday party. And his wife, Samantha, answered the phone, and, we just pumped it up like, hey, are you interested in joining this incredible band? They're blowing up in Los Angeles, all of which was not true because nobody would touch us. And I go, hey, look, I want to send you a demo track. I want to send you the demos of what the old singer sounded like, and, just the instrumentals. And you go and record to it. And he's like, you want me to leave my birthday party? And I'm like, hell yeah. I go, you have one life to live, man. I gave him the full, Jerry Maguire's speech. And the guy did it. He left his birthday party. He went and recorded some demos, sent them back to me. By the time I got to Los Angeles, and I was blown away. I mean, his voice was incredible. The band didn't feel that way as much. They weren't completely, convinced. And I said, it doesn't matter. This guy's getting, he's coming out here, and I think he's great. And, Chester, when I met Chester for the first time, it was nothing like I imagined because I'd never seen a photo of him. And, in walks this scrawny guy, really skinny, very innocent looking, with spiky black hair. And, he was wearing Coke bottle glasses and this black, shiny, sparkly button-down shirt. And I was like, oh my God, you please tell me this is not, this is a disaster. Because the band, I lied to the band. I was like, yo, dude, this guy's, 6 feet tall and, blonde hair pulled back. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I just imagined him. It was the farthest thing from what I had imagined. And, I immediately was like, dude, you got to lose that shirt. That was the biggest thing, that sparkly shirt. It was it was 2 sizes too big. So I grabbed him a promo shirt out of the next office and threw it on him. And, and then from there, the guys came in, and it was awkward, to say the least. And, but after a few months, I was actually I think it was probably about 6 to 8 weeks. Samantha, his wife, gave me an ultimatum, like, look, if the band doesn't decide, then, we gotta think about something else. And will you help us? Will you give us a development deal? And I'm like, yeah, I believe in you and Chester. And long story short, the band finally came around and agreed. They auditioned a whole bunch of people, and they were like, yeah, Chester's the guy.
I wanna run away, never say goodbye. I wanna know the truth.
Well, interestingly enough, the first batch of songs I didn't love. I was disappointed with them, and I was really, really concerned. We had started showcasing them for other labels, again with Chester in it, and everybody passed. They felt deceived. I was like, hey, we changed the name, first of all. When Chester got in the band, we changed it to Hybrid Theory. And because the band, there was a stigma about Zero from that whiskey show. So the songs were okay. I didn't think they were great. But there was a moment when, I think it was Columbia came down. It was a night Macy Gray brought an artist, and she was signing down to the studio that was on Hollywood Boulevard. And she auditioned for me on Hybrid Theory's rehearsal stage. And I was like, oh, she has a great voice. And then Brad got up and started playing guitar, and Rob got up on the drum set and started playing. And they started jamming. And then Chester got up and started singing with this girl. And I was like, that was the aha moment for me. I was like, holy crap, Chester is not just a great singer, he is an artist. And he harmonized with her. They were singing R&B, and then he went into this, beautiful melody that turned into a growl. And I was like, holy crap, this is everything I had ever imagined and more. This is way bigger than anything I've ever imagined. And I imagined greatness. I was just like, this is going to be a pivotal band in the music business. And, they auditioned right after that. After Macy and her artist left, the band auditioned, and I thought it was a great show. And everybody walked out and said they don't like it. And that was the constant thing. So we did a whole bunch of auditions after that. Everybody passed. And there was one point they wrote a song called Blue, which I think they did say was, you know, I said, why'd you write a song about me at one point? There probably was a joke. I'm sure it was, but the bridge to that was amazing. And that ended up becoming, I believe, Crawling, the chorus to Crawling. And, you know, there was just moments, aha moments where I'm like, oh my God, it's sounding good. But the big thing was the transitions. We did an EP with Andrew Murdoch, Mudrock, who did Godsmack and everything. And I still didn't love that. And that was a big concern for me. I didn't feel they hit any of their marks. But right after that, right after the EP, they had auditioned. We did an audition for Joe McEwen at Warner Brothers because Joe was looking for an A&R person. So ironically, in regards to Warner Brothers, the band had showcased 3 times for Warner Brothers for a guy named David Kahn and Matt Eberly. And we got 3 passes from Warner Brothers. So I happened to be in New York City, and I ran into this guy named Joe McEwen. We struck up a conversation. He goes, hey, come into the office the next day. And, you know, reluctantly, I pulled out, he goes, what are you working on? And reluctantly, I pulled out Hybrid Theory, thinking that this label had already passed on this band 3 times. You know, 4th was just more of like, you know, salt in a wound, you know, mud in my eye, sand, and just like, it was just brutal. And I was like, oh, and I just dreaded hearing him, you know, pass. And he listened to the whole thing. He's like, yeah, he goes, you know, I actually like this. It's intelligent. And I was like, holy crap, somebody finally likes it. I'm like, would you say you liked it? And he's like, yeah. He goes, you know, there's something intelligent about it. And then he asked me, he goes, who do you think is a good A&R person out there? That, you know, he goes, I'm looking for an A&R person. And at this point, I was like, my career seemed like going on a downhill trajectory. And, you know, I suggest some people, he goes, well, what about Jeff Blue? I'm like, well, that's actually me. And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, are you asking me? I'm like, yeah, that would be cool, you know? And he said, yeah, I like your band. And he goes, I'm going to come out and see him. I'm like, okay. So we set up a showcase, and it was actually good. The guy, Joe McEwen, really liked the band. I was like, this is where we're going, you know? You know, there was a lot of drama that ensued. Epic was at least double the salary. But I didn't feel they liked the band. And the one thing was I wanted the band to have the right home. And, you know, Warner Brothers didn't have any real rock bands other than Static X. But I felt that they'd have a better chance at a record label. You know, didn't have a lot of rock bands, and they would get more attention. And so I decided on doing that. And that's why I chose Warner Brothers. So I signed my deal, but it turns out Zomba Music Publishing wouldn't let me out of my contract. And they kept me there for about 9 months. During that time, Joe McEwen, the guy who hired me and actually liked Hybrid Theory, was let go. And the new boss that came in was a guy named David Kahn. And David Kahn was the guy who passed on Hybrid Theory 3 times. It's like a movie. And I mean, you knew me at that time. I was trying to get a job forever. And the minute I get my dream job, it's like, yeah, we don't want you here. We don't want your band here. So he goes, hey, I want to meet with you on your new boss. And I hadn't even started there yet. I think I had a week before I was starting. And I'm like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. And he goes, hey, I really don't like, you know, the band very much. He goes, do you think they're ready to make a record? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And I sent him, I think we had Crawling at that time. We didn't have Paper Cut, but we had really strong songs, and he didn't like it. So I immediately, right after that meeting, raced over to Warner Brothers, had a meeting with the marketing guy. And I said, hey, I want to start making this record right away. And I told the band, we need to really get in and make this record before we're, you know, before the whole thing drops out and I'm not even there. You know, and it's a good move because had we waited any longer, I mean, my boss, David Kahn, tried to get me to drop the band, you know, halfway into making the record. I don't think we would ever even got into the studio had we not moved very quickly.
Let's try something else.
So Don Gilmore ended up producing the record. The reason I was able to get Don was, frankly, nobody else wanted to produce it. I wanted somebody with pop sensibility to produce it. That was my big thing. I didn't feel that this was just a screamo hard rock band. And I thought the best quality about Hybrid Theory at that point was that they could write songs and commercial songs and not just, you know, be about heaviness. The songs had structure, they had melody, they had hooks. And I think to me, a lot of that was Mike and especially Brad, because Brad understood pop music. And I thought that was the big strength. So I wanted a producer that understood pop. And, I took it to people, all the rock people passed. And Don had done Good Charlotte, Lit. And I was like, you know what? They were clear. I liked the sound of them. And I felt like with a heavier tone, that could really translate well for Hybrid Theory, because I wanted everybody to be able to hear all the nuances of the DJs, Joe's DJ stuff, Mike's production. I wanted to hear everything. I'm a big clarity person in terms of sound and delivery. And I felt Don was the guy, and Don actually liked it. He didn't like the same songs I liked, ironically. We did a song with one of my buddies is Mike Simpson from the Dust Brothers, and he originally didn't like the band, but then when he heard Chester, they did a song. I think it was With You, and that is what I think was one of Don's favorite songs. We had Points of Authority, but we didn't have the chorus, I think, at that point, and that was one of my favorite songs, along with what would become Crawling. So yeah, Don jumped on the board, and we moved very quickly.
Everything you say to me, just one step closer to the edge, and I'm about to break.
So One Step Closer, Mike, was the first single that was released, and was one of the songs that the band didn't love that much. And I knew immediately that was going to be a hit. Again, the chorus had not been written in the prior. It was a song called Plaster, and it started off with a riff, and I just knew that riff was great. And I remember it reminded me of Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit, and I kept telling Brad, we need something like that iconic guitar riff that you can base a song off of. That song, the chorus, the main hooks didn't come about until later on, creating the song. And then the Shut Up When I'm Talking to You part, that came very, very much later. And it was, that song needed a bridge. That song I always knew could have been a massive hit. I always felt it was going to be the first single, and it just wasn't there. And then when they came up with that bridge, it was just like, it was undeniable.
And got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter.
In the End was the most difficult song for me on that album, because I knew it had the most potential, but I did not feel it was being executed well. And that was the big fallout that Mike Shinoda and I had, because I thought his delivery could have been a lot better. And I pushed and pushed and pushed, and then I pushed more, because I didn't feel it was sincere, and I didn't believe the delivery, and it created a lot of strife. And at the end of the day, when they finally finished it, I felt it was incredible. And in the end, obviously, to me, wasn't my favorite song on the record, just because of all the drama that went into it, but it was the one that I'm very, very happy that I stood by my feeling that it needed to be stronger, because it ended up, being a huge hit. Crawling to me was always one of my favorite songs. That delivery was just incredible. It was originally called Blue, and the chorus was on the bridge on the song called Blue, if I remember correctly. And they developed that song, and right after Joe McEwen said he was interested, I sent him that song. So that was done before we signed to Warner Brothers, but really towards the end of when we were showcasing for everybody.
Inside is hearing me right underneath my skin.
It's like a paranoid looking over my back.
Paper Cut started with a guitar riff, and I thought it was really cool, but it wasn't my favorite. And my favorite on that entire record was Points of Authority. Points of Authority really showcased Mike It showcased the production, the chopped up guitar. It had a dynamic energy to it. And the one thing in the demos that was missing was the chorus. And Chester really killed it. So that song became one of my favorites. I knew it wasn't a single per se, but actually to me, that could have been like a second or third single. And we never really got around to that because there were so many damn good songs to that record. But I still, Points of Authority is one of my favorite songs.
And I can't bring you back. It's true the way I feel.
So after we made the record, I took it around to the record label, and the record label wasn't into it. So the album took a pretty large turn in the studio, being cognizant of being very wary that my boss wanted to drop the band and didn't want as much rapping on it, which was it was a very difficult thing because Mike was the primary songwriter of the band and the leader. So we had to be very cognizant and walk that fine line, and obviously not have my boss down to the studio anymore. And I would take the demos around, or not the demos, but the actual, the dailies of the roughs, before we were finished, and playing for people. And then he found out about it, and it got to be a very big situation. I had to go to the president of the label, Phil Q, who was really cool, and just go, "Hey, I need to be able to make this record without interference." And Phil Corderero, was really cool and allowed me to finish the record. And that's rare. I mean, if Phil hadn't interjected, we probably wouldn't never have had this album come out, because there was that much dissension from my boss to me, and from me explaining to the band. It was just a creative nightmare. So when we finished the record, there was still not that much interest. The interest really came from Rob Goldkling, Mike Rickberg, and this guy, Tom Beery. And they were the radio department, and they seemed to really like it. But again, we were slated to come out in 2001. And this is, we finished the record, we were mastering it July-ish of 2000. And nobody expected anything. And one of the guys, I think it was Tom Beery, was at a music conference, I think it was Gavin, and called me up and was like, "Hey man, we've got huge response on this One Step Closer song." And I'm like, "You're kidding." It's like, "No." He goes like, "People are into this. This is going to go." And literally it went like wildfire. He's like, and I just, done the mastering. We got everything done really quickly. And it was one thing after another, but very, very quickly we decided that this album would have to come out in 2000, or else we were going to miss the boat. We were going to miss the momentum.
From the top to the bottom, the top I stop. At the core, I forgot. In the middle of my thoughts, taking far from my safety.
The first time I felt we had something was when I was washing my car. I lived up on top of Mulholland in the Hollywood Hills, and I was washing my car outside, and all of a sudden I heard this, dun, 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 dun. I was like, "What the?" And I had my hose going, and I was like, "That sounds like, holy crap!" It was our song, One Step Closer. Lost my mind. I called up the band, and it's like, "Oh, K-Rock is playing One Step Closer," and immediately it got requests. People were like, just the phones exploded. So at that time, people would call in and go, "Who is that band?" And immediately it just went off. And K-Rock was a huge proponent. K-Rock New York, K-Rock LA, and a handful of other stations across the country. Yeah, radio just immediately caught on, and it exploded. Nobody had ever seen anything like this, because the band had really never played a live show other than one before this, before they were signed at, and it was in Phoenix. I mean, as a band, other than that showcase, because the stuff we did, there were showcases. We were doing them for showcases, There was a show we did, Westminster, Best Buy, and we were only expecting like 500 people. And I think it was like 5,000 people showed up. It was amazing. It was a K-Rock promo calendar thing. And everybody, it was just like people. Westminster is not very local to LA, and this thing just exploded, and that really put us on the map with K-Rock. K-Rock asked us to do their acoustic Christmas. At that point, I'm like, yeah, we got something. And then the band wrote My December, and I was just like, this is going, this is happening. And the time that I felt the most confident, there was 2 times, actually 3 times I broke down in tears. It was, the first time was when I heard the last version of all the songs in the studio and I approved it, and I felt it was magic. I cried at that point. The second time was giving them their gold albums, which came so incredibly quick. And it was in Sacramento, and I was on stage watching them perform. And I think the album had been out maybe a week or 2. And every single, or maybe it was a month, whatever it was a very short amount of time. And every kid knew every single lyric to that song and was singing along the entire freaking show. And I just couldn't believe it. And I just broke down in tears. I was like, wow, because this is a band that, nobody wanted. Everybody couldn't stand them. They told me it was career suicide. My boss didn't want it. I mean, this is something that, once you're told that you're not good enough, rejection, you're prepared for more rejection. And it's shocking to be embraced like that. And, it was very gratifying. So, and then the other time was at Acoustic Christmas, where I was just like, I cannot believe these guys are playing Acoustic Christmas. And it was like that same year we were being told you suck,
Why I played myself this way, now I see you're testing me, pushes me away.
So regarding Chester, yeah, it's extremely sad. I connected with Chester on a massive level when he, originally joined the band. We were much more alike than I think the rest of the band. We both partied a little more. I didn't do any drugs whatsoever, but we would, hang out and drink, and he would come over. He was like one of the guys in the band that would always come over, and him and his wife, we would go on trips together. We would spend our holidays together, New Year's and the 4th of July, anything that, brought us together. They would come over all the time for, dinners and barbecue. And so we had a really intense, intimate relationship, and we talked a lot about, our fears and growing up and not feeling good enough. The one thing we connected on was we talked a lot about how things can get kind of dark, and that's an artistic thing. And I think a lot of artists are that way because, to be an artist, you have to have, a lot of people have demons, and that's what they write about. And that's what really connects to other people and makes them feel like they're not alone, especially somebody like Chester, who is emoting such, intense lyrics, and, and his voice, it's sincere and it's authentic. So it comes from his heart. So you can't really fake that stuff. And, it's horrible. One of my favorite moments with Chester was we had gone on a trip to Rosarita Beach in Mexico, and the album had not yet come out, or maybe just whatever it was just, we had just finished everything, but the music video was out. And these 2 kids kept pointing. Me and Chester were in the hotel lobby, and these kids kept pointing, like, I'm like, can we help you? And I walked over, and they're like, that guy's in a rock band. And I'm like, yeah, and he's like, and they're like, what is it? We saw blah, 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 the tattoos, and those tattoos were iconic. And I'm like, yeah, you want to take a photo of them? He's in a band called Linkin Park. And we took a photo all together. It was me, him, me, Chester, and the 2 kids. And at that moment, I turned to Chester. I'm like, dude, you're going to be big. I just knew it. And I was, and it was that same thing. I mean, we that trip, we got to spend some time together, and, just hanging out on the beach, where he talked to me a little bit about, how he felt, no matter what, at that point, he wasn't really fitting in with the band. He was having some issues, and we talked, and I'm just like, man, it's just, he was a little different, he was married. He's the only guy that was married. He smoked, he drank, the other guys didn't do that. And it, we had talked a lot about that. And, and especially because I had gone through so much drama with the band, we really bonded after that whole process as well. And, I always felt like he was he was like a dear friend, and no matter what, through the entire drama of the recording, was just always there, by my side. And he goes, "Hey, I know what you're going through. I can only imagine," because he was always at my house, and he saw what I was going through, with my boss.
It doesn't even matter.
Hey, Jeff, tell us about your book.
Yeah, so the book is called One Step Closer, Becoming Linkin Park from Zero to Number One, and it literally discusses everything you absolutely need to know about success in the music business. It discusses publishing deals, development deals, marketing, promotion, management, song selection, what A&R is, in addition to the entire story of Linkin Park. The book came about because I was just stunned and shocked and super depressed about Chester's, the loss of Chester. And I'd just gone on K-Rock, and we had discussed a little bit about Chester and how I discovered him. And then immediately after, I got a call from Melinda Newman from Billboard, and she wanted to ask me some questions and interview me, and we were discussing it. And she's like, "You know what? You were one of our writers. You should write a piece on him." And I was like, wow, I've been written in a long time. And, I did it. And at the funeral, so many people came up at Chester's funeral. People came up to me, and one of his managers was just like, that was really, touching. And, that's an amazing story, how he had gone on to touch so many people's lives. And, I went back that very day, and I started looking, I'm like, God, I know I saved every fax, every, CD, tape, DAT, and I had them all. And I had boxes everywhere because, I'd worked with a lot of artists, but Linkin Park stuff, I saved everything. So I went into my garage and I found these boxes, and I knew I had one more huge box somewhere, and it had every file of every single thing ever done. And then I found all my journals. So I had like maybe 9-10 journals. I saved everything. So I just, for like a few days, I was just like immersed in this stuff. I'm like, there's a story here. And I want the world to know it, that this band did not have it easy. I did not have it easy. This was not an easy process. There was a lot of really belief in oneself and ability to overcome obstacles. And, but the book, again, you can get Amazon, Apple, your bookstore, Barnes and Noble. And also there's the ebook, and I did the audiobook with this amazing voice right here.
And that concludes this installment of Verse Chorus Noise. I want to thank Jeff Blue, and I want to thank all my listeners and supporters. See you next time.
All right, pal. Take care, brother.